Hello, everybody, and welcome to the McRADcast. Today we have no guest, but that's okay, because we're going to talk and see what we can come up with.
I think we'll be all right. We'll make it.
Josh, anything new going on with you today?
Not too much.
Yep. So
not too much. We've been laughing a lot before this began, so we decided we might as well move it to the microphones.
Yeah, we're going to get into a few current events or whatever, but no guests today. We'll have, I've got some guests lined up and just trying to sort out when they can make it. But yeah, with the new job and everything, I'm not off on the weekends anymore, so I don't have like a 9 to 5, so it's a little tougher to sometimes pinpoint when I'm free and all that, even though it's become pretty normal with my schedule.
Yeah, it's normal.
It's just trying to. A lot of people do have the Monday through Friday job, so it's hard to link up with who's off on what day. But yeah, we're definitely going to have some more guests. We've got plenty of people lined up for you, and we got some B-sides lined up too. I think our next B-sides, we're going to get Bartley back over, and we're going to talk about Hereditary and Midsummer.
Yep. Because
we have seen those. Yep. Since we spoke with him, so
we'll hold our opinions on them till then.
Yep, and that'll be the next B-sides. It'll be fun. So. Look forward to that. Yeah, I don't have a lot, really. I just figured we'd crank it up and see what we can come up with. But, I think recently, it's been I've been really – and we don't talk about politics too much on the show just because I don't have a very hard stance on a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's a shit show altogether.
Yeah, and you get into those weird arguments that are not fun and not productive in my mind. But I don't know. I've been really worn out with it lately.
Oh, it's exhausting. I've gone on an unfollowed tirade. I don't want to unfriend people because I don't not like them as a person. I just don't like everything they're posting on Facebook all the goddamn time. That's annoying to me.
Yeah, and one of the things that I recently have been kind of kicking around in my head, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with this, and you can, and you can definitely call me out, and send me an email or hit us up on the social media, because I like to actually talk about stuff if people want to talk, not just don't just call me a piece of shit.
You can mail them a letter too if you want.
Yeah, mail it to me. Do one of those ransom style from the old movies.
Yeah, where you cut out all the individual words and letters.
Yeah, and they're all big and small and crazy looking. Send me one of those letters. They
don't really make magazines and newspapers the same way though. It's real hard to find all the words.
But tell me if I'm wrong and why I'm wrong. That's fine. But one thing I noticed recently was that there's such an anti-Trump rhetoric, obviously, and for good reason. I'm not saying that I'm not pro-Trump by any stretch, but it gets weird because it's come to the point now where I think the last few years have really shone a light on how really fucked our politics are in the U.S.
I'd say so.
The U.S. government as a whole.
I think a lot of people assumed it was that bad, but they just were like, yeah, people behind the scenes are controlling it. And it's like,
sure.
I think they are, clearly. But also, the people up front have been shit shows for a while.
Sure. But it's really come to light, recently, especially with the current administration and, how divisive that whole thing is. So what I've noticed is a lot more people have expressed interest in politics, which is, I think, at the core is a good thing. Yeah. But I think that a lot of it's short-sighted or misguided. Yep. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't really know shit about politics either, just from what I see and what I read, which is essentially the same shit everyone else is seeing and reading.
Yeah, because it's all you can find anymore.
Right.
If it doesn't have a bias to it, it's hard to find.
Yep. So, what's really disheartening is just because I hate Donald Trump, whatever is opposing him must be better.
Oh yeah,
that's really a struggle, man. Because it's going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump, right? That's going to be our presidential election.
And he picked his vice president today.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Kamala Harris. It's so bad, dude. It doesn't get better.
So
every time you turn around, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. So, and I'm not even going to go into that shit. But anyway, but just solely based on I hate Trump, they're going to vote for Joe Biden, and that's, whatever. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know.
It's like anything but Trump.
The problem is,
right?
you're going to get the same results. Like the working class is going to get the same results with either one in that office.
Because Biden has already come out and said he's not for universal health care, right? Sure. Biden has already come out and said he's not for legalization of marijuana. Biden has come out and said he's not for a lot of these things that are overwhelmingly wanted by the general population.
Right.
Right? Like, as much as people want to argue about universal health care, I think the pandemic has shown that you can't tie someone's health care to their job.
Oh, yeah.
It's more important now.
I've always thought that was a pretty shitty...
It's a weird ordeal. And so now we're tying... And I know the government is going to... Before anybody says, well, the government's bad at everything. Yes, they are. But how do we get insurance otherwise? Mm-hmm. Right? Do you go pay for it on your own? And if you do, how much more expensive is it? It's already expensive when you get it through your employer, who often pays the other half. You only end up... What most people don't understand about employee-paid health care is you pay half in most situations,
sure,
and the employer pays the other half.
Mine paid a little more than that, like my old insurance, but it was pretty close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a 60-40 split or something like that.
Well, I mean, like to the insurance company.
Oh, I'm
premiums.
I was just talking about...
like your coverage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about coverage. I'm talking about the premiums you pay to the health care provider
for sure,
for your insurance. Mm-hmm. Insurance, if $125 a week comes out, it's actually $250 most of the time, mm-hmm, and the employer pays their half and you pay your half. Mm-hmm. That's what gets deducted from your check. So if you want to tell me that it should
no. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
With that, it
was like a 60-40.
Yeah, because they would show like on
how much they paid,
how much they paid and how much it wasn't quite half and half, but it was close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty close. I've always thought that was a pretty weird system.
It's a weird system.
And that kind of brings up the idea that, you know, when you talk about reform of anything, especially when it's like governmentally involved, is there's so many moving parts that not just one thing needs reform. It's like, so you say insurance, but like tied to that is, you know, employment and the medical industry, right? So, and both those things need help.
Yep.
Like all these things need.
Because let's be honest, the hard, terrible fact of if they go to universal health care as the government providing it for you effectively, I mean, you're going to have to pay for it. Nothing's free. We all know that. If you're coming here and telling us that nothing's free, dummy, it's not free health care. It's universal health care, mm-hmm, where we all chip in and everybody gets the health care. Right? Where the wealthiest pay a small fortune, and it allows a lot of poor people to also get health care.
Yes.
Right? And so, unfortunately, that's the world we live in right now, where the rich get richer and the poor stay as poor, mm-hmm, and they can't provide for themselves. And a lot of people would say, well, fucking bootstrap it up, bitch, and fucking get to work. And that is awesome to say, and it has happened innumerous amount of times in this society. That's the dirty part of capitalism that nobody wants to talk about, that's against it is the only way to get people out of extreme poverty, mm-hmm, without making them a slave to the system.
Sure.
Right?
But then you get late stage capitalism, which
is gross. Bureaucracy gets a hold of it, and then that whole thing where Bezos has gained $100 billion over the last 10 years, and Zuckerberg has gained $100 billion over the last 10 years, and all these mega billionaires have gained $100 billion in value over the last 10 years. That's not trickle down economics. That's not how that worked. No. They're hoarding the fucking resources.
And so for example, and you can go look this up, and I don't know exactly where, and I'm definitely going to be misquoting it. But the gist of it is like income, for example, when you talk about like how capitalism, the form of capitalism we're currently in, is starting to really like kind of fall in on itself, is, well, you obviously had those big tell signs where you had those big bailouts back, mm-hmm, what was that, 2008, 9,
2008
10.
and 9.
So, and when those companies got bailed out, that money went to
a lot of bonuses.
Yeah, CEO bonuses, executive bonuses.
And not all of it, but
sure,
too much of it.
Well, yeah.
None
of it should have went, right?
Any amount of it should never have gone to a bonus, period.
Right. So that was like one of those, like, what the hell is this? But then you look at, like, you can find these statistics somewhere. It's like the average income in America for like your working class hasn't changed much since the 1970s. Mm-hmm. Like it's obviously gotten more, but not very much more.
And it hasn't increased with inflation the same way.
No, the increase for like the C level at companies, CEO, COO, CFO it's like something like 650% or some crazy.
And that seems ludicrous.
Yeah, but it, if you look at like your normal worker, it's way lower. It's not. I mean, it's like in the way lower digits. And
so that means that if you left them unfettered and to do whatever the fuck they wanted, it would only get worse.
Of course.
Because that's their fiduciary responsibility to that company is to save them as much money as possible and profit as much as possible. And the easiest way to do that is with wages of the customer, of the employee most of the time, right? It's either to increase the price of your product or service on the back end or to pay the people that do the product or service less money. And it's easier to do the latter of those two things most often. Because if you increase the price of your service or good, a lot of people will stop using it or buying it.
Yeah, that's true. So, sorry to say that we went down on a tangent there. But to get back around, what's really been bumming me out about politics is it's like, well, I hate Donald Trump. I'm like, okay, that's fair. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. I, too, hate Donald Trump.
I don't know if I hate him.
Yeah, and
I'm not a fan.
Every time he opens his mouth, a little more, right?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't tie myself to politicians too much. Like at the end of the day, I don't now, nor will I ever make enough money to make any influence on that.
Nope.
So it's like I'm not going to let that ruin my day.
Nope.
For the most part, there's some days where you just go like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
And anyway, but it's like I hate Donald Trump, so I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. And I get it's like the only other option essentially, unless you vote third party.
Yep.
Right.
Which is a losing effort.
Which shouldn't be, but we can get into that in a minute. But so it's like, well, yeah, but Joe Biden's the same person essentially. He's just not outwardly as callous and shitty.
Yeah.
Right. But he's the same person.
He's a hidden version.
Yeah. So it's like
he's got more couth, kind of.
Maybe.
Weirdly.
And we'll get into his fucking weird ass interviews in a second too. But then it's like, well, I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden. I'm like, yeah. The guy who like sniffs kids and like
it's definitely
inappropriately
weird.
Touches them constantly on camera, and I understand the allegations against Trump too. To me, it's like
the fact that these are our two options is the most dreadful of this.
It's like, hey man, would you rather be constipated or have explosive diarrhea? You're like, I just want to take a shit.
A regular
like,
fucking shit. No, you don't get one of those.
You can't do that. You have to be constipated or to have explosive diarrhea. You're like, I don't want either. They're like, man, choose.
And listen, I didn't love a ton of the Democratic options, but I loved all of them more, including Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, weirdly, right? Objectively, I would prefer her to be the president if you gave me three options. I get Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, or Donald Trump.
I think they're all the same ends. I think they're all going to do the same things.
Oh yeah, I don't think
different,
you can escape
with
that.
different faces on it. What my point is, I think that the working class in this country there will be no benefit to them whatsoever with any three of them running it, and there would be more negative things against them. Right? Yeah. It's not going to change.
I listened to a podcast literally today, the one I was telling you about the Innocence Project, the Joe Rogan Experience, and he had two guys on from the Innocence Project, and they were shitting all over Kamala Harris about how she was an aggressive prosecutor that went after people and her
for weed offenses and shit.
Well, not even that. Her prosecutorial team hid evidence.
Is that thundering? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about to storm.
All right. I was like, that sounded terrifying in these headphones. Sorry, I didn't mean to knock you off track there.
But she hid evidence from the defensive team.
Sure.
And that's as illegal as it gets. And she gets no punishment for that, right? And then she has a long track record of just being an asshole, an aggro asshole when it comes to prosecution.
Right.
Because she's a super winner. Because let's be honest, the only people that ever want to be president in this country are super winners. And those people are often brash and shitty people.
Sure.
That's like asking Michael Jordan to be the fucking president, right?
Yeah.
He's an asshole. We all know. But he's the best basketball player of all time. being an asshole does not make you the best president of all time.
Yeah, and I don't think
Weirdly.
and the thing is, I don't know that it makes you the worst either. And I'm not talking about Donald Trump when I say this, but I don't know if it makes you the worst.
No, because
either.
I honestly, the other day, somebody was talking to me about who I wanted to be president, and I was like, man, I just want somebody who cares.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A decent human being that cares about people to be there, and I haven't seen that in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I genuinely don't think I've seen that in my lifetime. Like George W. might be as close as we got to that, weirdly.
Yeah.
Right? Because after his presidency, you see like he's just a goofy old man that likes to paint terribly and drink beer and stuff. And you're like, all right, maybe he actually cared about people and he was just kind of put in charge weirdly.
Well, he was a war criminal.
Certainly.
I mean,
yeah, that's
there's
the
plenty
weird
of,
part.
Plenty of really terrible shit.
And so, like, I don't know that any of them have cared about people since I've been born.
Yeah, probably not. Because, I mean, everyone sucks off Ronald Reagan for, like, what. And I don't, man, I hate to even get into that because I don't know everything about his presidency. But, I know that he definitely wasn't the answer, to the
he was
the
a
country's
warmonger
problems.
too, right? They all are at the end of the day warmongers, and it's weird, when you get in and like even the Obama presidency. I was pretty pleased with how that went until after he got out and people started putting light to some of the things that he did in his president. I was just like, oh no.
And it just goes to show you
I
how
thought that was going well.
it goes to show you how far we've come technologically that now we know every step of the way. Like, well, not everything that's going on, obviously, but like you have a pretty good idea of like moves that are being made pretty quickly.
It's like they announced UFOs the other day and it wasn't even news.
Dude.
That's bizarre to me. Like,
it's crazy.
When the Pentagon's like, yep, UFOs, bro, and everybody's just like, damn, you see what Donald Trump did? What? Why didn't that make like the biggest news of the century? Maybe.
Yeah. Like, because people don't care, man.
It's fucking weird, bro. We're obsessed with
because Orange Man Bad didn't do something.
It's fucking weird, like fucking weird, bro. And then like that blows my mind. Imagine during a Bill Clinton era presidency and they were like, yep, UFOs. It would have blown the fucking roof off of media.
Oh no. I mean, you would hope so. I don't know though.
But it would have had to, right? If they had a real fucking source in the Pentagon that was like, yep, UFOs, bro, can't identify them. We don't know what they are. Way beyond our technology and we have no idea what it is. And we've had eyes on it by multiple pilots in the fucking Navy and Air Force. Yep, those exist. We don't know what they are. And we're like, okay, but Donald Trump grabbed a woman's pussy.
Or said they would.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It's like, whoa, this is weird, dude. We're living in a weirdo, bizarro world.
It is.
Everyone keeps saying it over and over, and it keeps getting weirder and more bizarre every time. And I don't know how. That has to be like we're in the moment, right?
Probably, or I don't know. Maybe
it can't be that we live during the weirdest time.
The simulation is like glitching.
It can't be that we actually live during because I mean, there used to be crusades and stuff. That's weirder than this, right?
I mean, I guess it depends on perspective, right? I don't know.
I think our perspective, we're just in it.
I mean, I think we live in a much better time.
No. I like shitting with toilets, bro.
Yeah.
I'm for that, right?
I think for all the weird and crazy shit that's going on, I think it's just different. The needle moved, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just
what's weird is different, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the shit is weird. Like, I mean, there's no doubt about the things going on.
We have a reality TV show host as our president, right? That's a bizarre thing. Yeah, that's weird. That's fucking weird.
Well, I mean, that's what it's going to be. That's just what it is now.
Oh yeah.
Because like the presidents are on social media and they're on it's weird. Did you see that fucking interview with Joe Biden?
You mean the one where he talks about the fucking test or whatever? He's like, if you can't tell the difference between a tiger or a lion and an elephant, I don't know what's tough.
And he was like, if a guy does cocaine in the morning, is he a junkie? And I was like. What? And I was like, Joe, did you do cocaine this morning? Like, what the hell? And the interviewer is
I'm forward looking to the debates.
Yeah.
Forward looking.
Yeah. You said that backwards. But like the guy doing the interview was like,
The guy asked him about a cognitive test and he failed it immediately.
Yeah. In real time.
To failing a cognitive test.
Man.
It was fucking
and so
weird.
When people were like, he might have Alzheimer's, I was like, okay, let me see.
Yeah, that dementia thing was like, come on, bro. Y'all are just talking shit because he's bad at speaking.
No. Now it's like, what?
He might actually have early onset Alzheimer's.
Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we just need
an Alzheimer president.
Yeah.
The one that just forgets everything every day. He's like, damn, restart.
Yep.
It's fucking weird, man. It's so weird.
He forgets he's president.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, Mr. President. He's like, what? Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no.
And what was that in there was that, The Onion did a movie, and it was like, I just imagine Joe Biden taking this moniker, but it was like, news briefing. It was like a group of Alzheimer's patients marched on Washington this evening demanding a cure for pancakes. I can't talk today, sorry.
All right.
But yeah, anyway, that wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be.
A cure for pancakes?
Yeah, demanding a cure for pancakes. There's just like this old guy at a podium like yelling.
Pancakes!
And it was like, yeah, that's Joe Biden to me. Like, I don't know.
It's fucking crazy.
I just think it's weird that we think that that's like, and I know that there's nothing we can do. Here's my point. Let me get to the point I was trying to make at the beginning of this episode, is that people all of a sudden are like, I'm really into politics. I'm political. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
You're just against the one thing. Because
what they've been saying is like, change. We want real change. Well, then don't vote for Joe Biden, right?
How did Joe Biden win a primary?
No. But
well, I mean, we know how.
Here's the thing. If you really, because if you say, well, it's better than Trump, then you don't really believe in change. You just believe in, I hate this guy, winning. So I want to get this other guy in who's it's going to be the same results.
Effectively,
it's going to be the same fucking results. And it
may be a little less chaotic.
No, it won't be. But
on the surface.
Only because people won't be fucking talking about it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just bizarre to me to hear people think like they talk about like big change and how they're affecting change. Well, no, you're not, because you're admitting defeat when you say, well, a vote for
lesser
the third party
of two evils
is voting for. Well, then you don't believe in change.
Yeah.
So who gives a fuck?
Yes. Because people that genuinely believed in change, we would all just start writing in whoever the fuck we wanted.
Of course.
Right?
Or vote for the third party candidate.
But even that is so sketch sometimes. The third party candidate is sketchy as fuck most of the time. So, like,
why?
I don't know why we can't just vote The Rock as the president.
But why is the third party sketchy? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they're just as radical in a lot of ways, right?
How would I even know they don't get any face time? They don't get any...
Listen, I agree that they should be on the stage. I think we should adopt Australia's form of voting for the president. It's one of the most brilliant forms of all time. You know how it works? So way
they send 3 people on a walkabout.
Yes, that would be amazing. And the one that goes, "That's not a knife. This is a knife."
They throw a shrimp on the Barbie. Or something?
That's exactly how they do it. And Cheech is there the whole time. It's incredible.
That was dumb.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So anyway, they have like 8 or 12 different parties, and all of them get some representation in government. Right? And you have to have some criteria to be considered an actual party and this and that. You have to have, so many petition voters and all that. But past that, they all put their candidate up. So you have like 8 or 12 fucking candidates for president, right? They go through their stupid primaries the same way we do. But then when I go to vote, I vote for like the top 5 that I want in order. This is the one I want the most, second most, third most, fourth most, fifth.
You got to do a top 5 list.
Yeah, it's weird. But it makes you do more research, right, on the candidates. 2, almost always a moderate wins, and you don't get extremist as your president. Because you might be an extremist, and so your top vote is an extreme vote, right? And then your second one is a little less extreme, and then the third one a little less extreme. And the way it works is they go through series of like, all right, we're going through our first round of voting. All these votes counted. Everybody who voted for their number 1 is out after this because they didn't receive enough votes to go to the next round. You now go to your second candidate or third. If the second one's gone after the first round of voting, you now go to your third candidate until your vote is counted. Period.
That makes sense.
Right? So it's not wasting your vote on a third, fourth, fifth party or whatever it may be. Your vote eventually counts. If my 5th person is the one that my vote ends up counting for, and then that person wins, I technically voted for them. Right? I voted for them because they were the lesser of the 2 evils, right? They were the lesser of the 8 evils that you know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever it may be. And so they end up with reasonable people as their president sometimes.
I don't know anything about. Yeah, I need to look into that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seems cool.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it really, with the 2-party system at this point, the way it's become, it's really just like a lot of nepotism and a lot of
who they want, who has earned the position within their ranks.
Yeah.
Right. It's
and
like
who you know,
and if you go against that party at all, even though your morals and vision may line up with the party, if you dissent at all for any reason, your funding gets removed.
Yeah.
And the only way to get elected most of the time is with funding.
Of course.
Right? And that's another weird thing about our political system is that you have to have a lot of money to get elected.
Yep.
So, like, that seems weird. Why would
That definitely couldn't be corrupt.
No, yeah. Couldn't possibly corrupt that system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a representative government either. Like, I want successful people to run the country, but I don't want them to only run the country at the expense of everybody else, period. Because the only way you can ever run a country is if you've made enough dollars in your life, or that you can convince other people to give you enough dollars to run. That seems fucking weird to me.
Yeah,
you're either a goddamn narcissistic, charismatic, crazy person who can convince other people that even though you haven't made enough money to spend on your own campaign, that they should give you theirs.
Yeah, that's weird.
Or you've made enough money and you've stepped on enough throats to make enough money in your lifetime that you can then throw that money away to try and run for an office that might give you more influence to make more money later on.
Right. Or while you're in the office.
Yeah. It's fucking weird.
Yeah. I don't like it. But yeah, like I said, we usually don't get into the politic thing. It's been really irking me lately because I'm just like, it's all a show. It's all bullshit.
There is one entertaining thing about political pundits lately. Ben Shapiro.
Dude.
He's a goddamn gold mine.
So I wanted to segue into this a little differently, but so Cardi B and what's her name?
Something the Stallion.
Meg
the Stallion.
Megan the Stallion.
Megan.
They put out a song called
We're super hip, by the way.
Called WAP, which means wet ass. And
wait, hang on, it's wet ass P word.
Yeah, wet ass.
P word.
And you know, people were like, "Oh my God, it's trashy" or whatever, and people got all up in arms about it. I don't think that many people did. I think it was just, you know, it was a thing on Twitter or something. So then, the utmost authority on wet ass,
clearly,
Ben Shapiro chimed in and was
He's
like,
exactly who I think about when somebody says WAP.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? When they say WAP, I'm like, yeah.
Ben Shapiro.
Shapiro's
he's
forte.
He's out here getting all wet. And he basically was like, women's vaginas do not get wet. And everyone on Earth went, excuse me?
Ben, have you never made your wife orgasm ever?
And it was such a weird flex because it was like, Ben, shut the fuck up. Like, just stop, dude.
It's so weird. Like, the weirdest.
And he was like, and then when everyone like went in on him, he came back and tried to like, and he was like, my wife's a doctor, and she said if you need a mop and a bucket to clean it up, you might need to go see. And I was like, dude, first of all, have you never heard of like hyperbole and, you know, songs with metaphors and imagery to really push a point?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't real, Ben.
Yeah.
And all I know is
I don't think he understands.
Mrs. Shapiro, or Dr. Shapiro, I guess, if she's a doctor. I'm so sorry.
Yep. We apologize on behalf of Ben Shapiro.
And if you need anything, stayradpodcast@gmail.com. And, you know, we can figure something out.
Yeah.
Give you some of that.
We'll play the song the whole time.
So...
with your husband's version.
Yeah.
If you need a little reminder.
It's so fantastic.
Oh, it's so good, man.
So if you guys haven't heard it, first of all, go listen to the song or whatever. It's, you know.
Blow it up as though it's not already blowed up enough.
And I'm not actually, the song itself is just, to me, it's like, so whatever.
I'm not a fan, but
I don't mind the content of the song.
Man, me either. And I'm real on board with making fun of Ben Shapiro because he didn't get, because this is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Because like when he reads that whole song, he reads the lyrics to the song and they're very inappropriate.
Oh yeah.
Very inappropriate. And it only makes it funnier that a nerdy Jewish kid that is not a kid anymore, but he basically acts as though sex is the devil and that you should only have it when you're trying to make babies.
Of course.
Right? And as a result, he has never in his life gotten any woman, because his wife is the first woman he's ever been with, unless he's a liar.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
No, I don't. After this, I'm certain he's not a liar. And so he's never gotten a woman.
I feel like deep
That's
down,
a real natural process. It's supposed to get wet,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. So I feel like whenever he's like, "That's not a thing," I feel like deep down, his wife was like, "Oh, it can be," but. You just,
She's in the corner like, you stupid motherfucker.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was just weird. It was a weird thing to go. I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like,
I'm so happy he did it, though.
You're basically just telling everybody on the planet that your dick game is weak.
It's the worst. Maybe on the planet might be the worst. He's always talking about incels, too.
Yeah.
Talking shit about
and
incels.
Can we, because it could have went one or two ways, but obviously I kind of, you kind of suspect that from a dude like that. You're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's either super closeted gay.
Yeah.
Or he's that.
Yeah. And anyway, it was just like, okay, here we are.
Yeah. Because have you ever heard his stance on gay people?
Yeah. I don't want to get into it.
It's so good. Dude.
Yeah. But so Ben Shapiro, dude, just stop.
Please.
Just stop.
For your wife's sake.
Yeah.
Just buy her a vibrator for Christmas and a bottle of lube.
Yeah.
And just call it a night, homie. Don't ever again. If you've had the children you're going to have, don't ever again.
Whew. Anyway, so yeah, there's nothing really to say. So yeah, go listen to the song itself, WAP, and then go listen to someone took Ben Shapiro reading the lyrics and put it over the actual song. It is fantastic.
It's good.
So because to hear the whitest man on earth read those lyrics is like. That's.
I want to segue into something here. We're not going to do a B-sides until next week, but I do want to talk about a few things we've watched. And Wet Ass P is one of the greatest scenes in a show I've ever seen. And we've been watching Perry Mason.
Oh my god! Yeah. So So real quick, a quick setup here. They have done a kind of a reimagining of Perry Mason on HBO, and you should check it out. We're gonna watch the newest episode, this last Sunday's episode, when we get done with this, actually, and it is really good, man. It's really dark.
It's a dark version of Perry Mason,
but not but sometimes it's not. Yeah. It's very. They got the atmosphere, they nailed it with the time period.
Gumshoe, you know what I mean? Kind of
like
weird.
1930, 1931, whatever it is. And the reimagining of Perry Mason is really, really good. Check it out. It's awesome. And we're I think this is episode 7 or 8.
7, I think, yeah.
And so we're excited. It's probably coming to a wrapping it up. And
we're either going to get 8 or 10 probably.
And it's got a couple of different storylines kind of going on, but they're all kind of intermingled, and it's really good. I like it a lot. So yeah, but there is a scene
in the first episode,
the very first episode, where this movie star, he's a big man in more ways than one.
Yeah, he's tall and wide.
Yeah, he's a fat dude, and he also has a big old dong, because they show that as well.
Huge wang.
And when you see, so Perry Mason is investigating,
he's a private eye, and he's been hired to take pictures of this guy. Compromised.
So he sneaks into the house, and he hears kind of a little ruckus going on, and he rounds the corner, and fat dude with the big old hog is
sitting down for dinner.
Yeah, he is.
Naked.
And it's his co-star in the movie is this super hot actress, and she's just spread eagle, and he's eating pumpkin pie out of her.
Yeah.
And out of her puss. And
after she slaps it on there.
We said pumpkin pie. I don't know if it's pumpkin pie.
We're just assuming.
But it was one of those scenes that's so out of nowhere that you're like, what the hell is this? Yeah. And then fat guy with a giant dong comes, he's chasing him down the road, throws a shoe at him, and all that good stuff.
Dong flopping.
Yeah, and we're like, well, Jesus, And
I think it's really what hooked us to the show, right? If we're being honest, because we were both like, I don't know about this, and then as soon as that happened, we were in no matter where it was.
I was
going.
like, well, if that's the kind of things that are happening in this show, so but it took even an hour after that, because we watched a couple episodes, and out of nowhere, I don't know who. I think you brought it up or I brought it up, and we just die laughing about it. And it's like it's been one of those running jokes. You know, it was like, Jesus, like because we were talking about like how would you pitch that show to somebody? It was like, oh man, the first episode, and you explain that scene, and we were dying.
Where she just takes a handful of pie and just
flop whack. It's aggressive as hell. He goes in for it. We're like, whoa, that's probably unsanitary.
Yes.
You gotta,
especially in 1930.
Oh yeah, dude.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
I don't even know if they had running water to their shower. They had showers back then.
I think they did. It was probably a real big luxury, and so they probably had showers.
You got to be able to shower that thing out.
Yeah, boy, especially if you're jamming pumpkin pie up in it.
So, anyway, it's a great show. You should check it out. We don't know how it ends yet, the first season anyway, but I'm hoping that they make...
we hope that it has a good payoff and that
and what's the guy that plays Perry Mason? He's in that show, The Americans. Reese is his last name, I think. Thomas Reese.
I don't know.
I think. Anyway.
He's very good. It's weird, though. We were talking about it. A lot of the characters in the show, the actors, are like... weirdly, they blend in with other actors. You like think that there's somebody else sometimes in weird scene. You're like, is that so and so? But then you're like, no, that's not them for sure. But then they all, like almost all of the actors look like someone else.
Yeah, we jokingly call them like the Kmart version of whoever it is they like or whatever. But then there are some big names like John Lithgow's in it, and excellent part in the show. We're not going to get into any spoilers or nothing.
Oh no. Yeah.
But we might do a review of it after it's
eventually
ended or something. But
I think this is good enough, though, because I just want you to know that it's a really, really good show and to go watch it unless you're offended by pumpkin pie and a wet-ass pee.
Getting eaten by a fat man with a huge dong.
And a Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Yeah. So, if that's not your thing, stay away. We say that like that's the whole show or something.
We also watched Knives Out recently.
Ooh, I liked it a lot too.
It was dope.
Yep.
It was a good movie.
Knives Out is a kind of a whodunit type.
Clue-esque.
But way more I want to say way more serious, but
also goofy.
Yeah, it's got some goofiness to it, but it's
a really good blend.
Really well written. Yeah. And it's Rian Johnson who actually did one of the new Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And so I was excited because I was excited that Rian Johnson
was doing episode 8.
The Star Wars movie, and then when I saw it, I was like, "Oh man,
oh damn!"
And so this was kind of get back to
the other one we watched that I was most impressed with in all of this was Jojo Rabbit. I hate Taika Waititi because of what he did to Ragnarok. We've had this discussion a million times, but I have known that he was a really, really funny guy and director and all those things. I had just never taken the time to go see any of his projects. Right. And so I was really excited to see Jojo Rabbit, and so we sat down to watch it, and it did not disappoint. If you've got HBO Now, whatever it is, it's on there, and it is absolutely hilarious. If you don't like goofy comedy, might not be your thing, but I think there's just enough seriousness in this. If you don't like goofy comedy, if you get past the first 15, 20 minutes, there's enough serious moments in the movie to keep you hanging around.
Oh yeah, that movie is great. Real quick before we move on from, because I definitely want to talk about Jojo Rabbit, but let me. I was going to say Rian Johnson, who did Knives Out, he also did a movie called Looper, which was really great, and he did a movie called Brick that was really, really good.
I never saw Brick.
You should see that. We should watch that because it's a really good movie. Anyway, it was his return to form. Knives Out, go check that out, and then Jojo Rabbit. Man, what a great, like, charming and hilarious, but also like dark and sad. It's like everything at once. Not at once. It's like everything in this beautiful casserole of a movie. Mm-hmm. And so the gist of it, because once again, we're not going to do full reviews or nothing and no spoilers, but like the gist of it is, it's the end of World War II, right? Yep. When I say the end, I mean, it hasn't ended yet, but it's
winding down.
The very ends of the war.
It's not looking good for Germany.
Yep. And it is about a young boy who goes by the name Jojo. I can't think of his. I'm sure it's like Johann or something, whatever. But anyway, and it starts with him waking up, and you quickly realize that he has an imaginary friend, but his imaginary friend is Hitler.
It's amazing.
Played by
Taika Waititi.
And so he's a German kid, obviously, and he's going to like this German, like,
it's like fucking Hitler camp.
It's like Nazi summer camp. Yeah. So it's like Hitler youth going to this thing, And then it's got what's her name? Rebel Wilson.
Yep,
Is that her
Rebel
name?
Wilson.
And she's like Fraulein, whatever her name is.
Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell is amazing. He's the soldier dude, and
Yep.
they go to this camp, and it's like, learn to be good little Nazis, and
Yep.
so there's that darkness, right?
Yeah.
But because it's presented as this like really upbeat and lovey thing, and you're like, oh, this kid's cute, but he's like rocking a swastika and the SS pins, and you're just like, what the fuck am I watching, And Hitler's like
Being a
silly,
jokester.
he's
Yep.
silly and fucking goofy, and you're like, what is this? And that's basically the whole thing is, Jojo wants to be like Hitler. He wants to be the best Nazi he can be, right?
Yep.
And make Hitler proud. And, you quickly find out that his mother is not quite a supporter, right? And she tells him that he's silly and all that. That's as far as I'll go with kind of that. But just
Man, the movie is so fucking good, though.
my favorite character was Yorkie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yorkie's a brilliant little character.
He's
He's one of JoJo's best friends.
Yeah, this little fat kid. He shoots a missile launcher at one point.
He's so nonchalant about every fucking thing.
Oh,
His
brother.
heart rate never goes up the entire movie.
It's insanely good. But yeah, check the movie out. It has definitely got some like it's got a tearjerker here and there. It's got tons of laughs.
Oh my gosh! If you love goofy comedies, this is it. I mean, it's it, and it's not. I say goofy comedy. It's not like Will Ferrell.
No.
It's much more slapsticky, like in your face, but also so brilliant. The jokes in it are so brilliant.
It's really well
They
written.
go really deep into like Nazi lore, basically, right? They go into that stuff and make fun of it while also making you believe that the characters are Nazis.
Yeah, and there's also this whole like kind of tale of redemption, and
Yep.
it's just got it's got some really cool. And I don't even want to go into like any small details because I think if you see it unravel, it's like it's way better. So
That thought experiment that they've always talked about: if you were born in Nazi Germany, would you have been a Nazi?
yeah. So
It plays on
it makes
that
you
a
kind
lot.
of and it's like
It humanizes a Nazi.
yeah, and they're like Nazis, but they're likable.
Yeah.
And you're like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
And it's just really well done.
And that's the key to great writing is making you like people that you shouldn't like, or root for people you shouldn't root for, that you don't even realize you're rooting for, right? You don't realize it until after it's happened. You're like, oh,
Have we ever talked about that with Psycho
I think
on the
I think
podcast?
maybe once.
Because there's the scene where he puts the chick in the car and he pushes it out into the water, and it doesn't sink immediately, and you in the audience are like, come on, sink.
Sink.
And then you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm rooting for this killer.
Yep.
I want the car to sink so he gets away with it.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the Hitchcock like
That's brilliant.
formula
is what it is.
of like,
That's- like how do you even think of that idea? Like, how do I get them to root for the serial killer,
Yeah.
right? But then to pull it off is another thing altogether,
Yep.
right? Like to come up with the idea is brilliant. To actually pull it off is the next level genius, right? And so
But yeah, so Jojo Rabbit, go check it out. Knives Out, go check it out.
Taika Waititi has absolutely redeemed himself in my eyes, as far as I'm concerned. I'll even watch Ragnarok again as a tribute to Taika. That's how good it is.
I wish you would just pretend it's not that.
Me
story.
too. I wish they would put a different skin on it or something. You know what I mean? Like, and then just be like, damn,
'Cause
it's not.
I can't think of the name of the character he voices in that.
Oh, yes.
The rock dude.
Yes.
Piss off, ghost! He comes out and punches the thing. It's so dumb and so funny.
I admit that it's a funny movie, right? I don't think anybody can deny that. That's why it made almost $1 billion.
Yep. And
It's,
when
it's not
Thor-
because it was a genuinely good movie.
Yeah.
It's because it was hilarious.
When Thor's explaining how his hammer, how he can fly, and he's
it
like,
pulls you off.
he's like, the hammer pulls me off. The hammer pulls you off. It's like, no. Like, I know he goes, oh my God. It's so stupid.
Taika Waititi is a comic genius
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, but he is more than that. Because Jojo Rabbit proved that he can pull some shit off.
Oh, yeah,
In the
it's-
middle of a comedy, he could pull some shit off, and that's
Because there's a couple of scenes.
that's the most impressive part of the whole movie, in my opinion.
There's a couple of scenes that hit you like a ton of bricks.
Oh,
one in
ton.
particular, and then there's one that's like super tension building, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck. And then it's back to kind of that lighthearted thing. Because
Goofiness,
like
yeah.
Sam Rockwell, man, in that movie, what a wide range. Like that dude's brilliant anyway.
Yeah.
And like I've always known that. But dude, he like him as like the ultimate, like he's kind of like the Captain America
of Nazis.
of Nazis, yeah, Captain Germany or whatever. And then there's these moments of like empathy and understanding, and then it's a really great movie.
Yes,
you should watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely the best thing we've watched in a while.
I think it's right up there. I thought Knives Out was
very good too.
That one's up there with it too, but I don't know if they're so different that I don't even know that I would compare them. But
JoJo really impressed me because of the range of the movie. Because generally with a comedy that bizarre, you don't get those deep moments of sadness and darkness and all. You know what I mean? It's hard to pull that off when you've got Hitler running around as an imaginary friend. Yeah. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's weird. But they fucking nailed it. I don't know how to recommend it any higher.
She has 2 knives. Sorry. Yeah. We're not even going to give any context to that. But no, with Knives Out, to go back to that, the cast in that is insane.
It's I don't know how they afforded the cast.
So you had Daniel Craig.
Yep.
Don Johnson.
Yep.
That was like the weird, like, what? Why is Don Johnson here? But he was great.
Yep.
Fucking the lady that was in Hereditary, the mom. I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah, I don't know her name off the top of my head.
Tony.
It's definitely Tony something.
Something. Yeah. Anyway, we should probably have notes.
Chris Evans
is in it.
Fucking Captain America. He nails it.
So good in that movie because you know him as like the most lovable character in a Marvel, and he's such a douchebag.
He's a cunt.
You have oh man, who else? Who's the
sister?
Fuck.
Not Jody. Fuck. What is her name? How do we forget her name?
I'm looking it up right now. We should probably do show notes so we don't have to do this. But
oh yeah, for sure.
Whatever.
It is what it is. Don't be a bunch of little bitches. Just listen to us ramble on.
When I talk to other people that do podcasts, they're like, "Yeah, I'm working on my show notes." I'm like, "Yeah, totally doing that too."
We do show notes.
I'm absolutely doing that right now. Yeah, same thing, same.
Yeah. I got show notes, bro.
So you got Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, that's it. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette's her name. Yeah. Christopher Plummer is in it. It's a hellacious.
And Daniel
Frank
Craig.
Oz is in it.
Daniel Craig was amazing in the movie.
Emmett Walsh, which you will know if you see him. He's been in like every movie. It's such a good cast, and it's like everyone. So it's almost like, they were meant to like overact and over. You know what I mean? Like it was so because like Daniel Craig with a southern drawl.
That's a handsome son of a bitch.
I was getting a little worked up.
A little chub. Yeah. I had a whop.
Yeah. Definitely whapped it up. Whop.
I think I don't know.
Whop sounds like that's like a
whop dago.
Yeah, that's like a racial slur.
Yeah,
right?
racial slur
for Italian people.
I think so. Yeah.
Wops and greasers or something.
We'll just call it wet ass P.
Yeah.
P word, as Ben Shapiro eloquently put it.
And I mean, I'm glad he really chimed in.
Yeah, me too. It definitely made my day better.
So weird.
Of all the crazy political
I remember
garbage.
when I saw the video and it was like, the caption or whatever was like Ben Shapiro reads. And I was like, but why? I was like, I clicked on it immediately. But
how could you not?
I was like, why would he do that?
I didn't even know. I just saw everybody freaking out about it. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so somebody in a group chat I'm in posted the video on YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, why is he reading that? And then I read more into it. I went and did a little more research, and I was like, oh, he's a complete moron. I got you. He's never in his life made a woman getting moist.
Have an organism.
Yep. Well, he's done that. He's got a kid.
Oh, yeah.
He can make her have an organism. That's what he thinks sex is for.
Yeah.
Making organisms.
Poor fellow.
Oh, it's so good.
Well, once it is what it is. I don't know what to. I'm just at a loss for words about it. I don't know what to say about it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yep. What else have we done? Those are about all the movies we've watched. I've been watching American Horror Story 1984. I finished it, the 1984 season. It was super cheesy, and it got real weird towards the end. But I enjoyed it.
I watched The Warrior Nun, but that was a terrible mistake. You
watched that, and what was that one with
the Old Guard?
The Old Guard.
Oh, it was a terrible mistake. I have a thing where if I start something, I have to finish it. In most cases, It's pretty rare that I don't. It's a flaw. I admit it. And I don't even know why. I think I put the Warrior Nun on in the background just as like background noise. And boy, is it bad.
Yeah.
If you like CW style shows that are, you know, a little overacted, a little underwritten, you know, that sort of thing, that's just kind of mindless. It's like, you know, what's that show that everybody loves, Supernatural? It's like a worse version of Supernatural, basically.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's not good. So just do your thing. Go watch The Warrior Nun. It sucks. I'm almost done. I'm on the last episode of The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary.
Oh, that was a good one.
Because they put it on Netflix. And so I've picked it up, and I'm almost done. It's brilliantly done. I love how they jump time in it, but they tell you what time you're in. You know,
Sure.
But the way they do the time jumps, I didn't realize what they were doing at first. But what they're doing is in the last season, the 98 season or whatever, that run, they'll show you a moment that happened that was important in that run, and then they'll zoom you back to another point in time that correlated to why they succeeded in that moment.
I gotcha.
Right? So you can go back 20, 30 years sometimes to find out why they as a team, you know, they'll go and show you Steve Kerr in 1971, you know, why something happened at that point in his life to help him make, you know, this shot in this moment, what all led up to that moment. And it makes it all feel more monumental, right? It makes it feel more special. And it was very special in the time, right? But it makes it feel even more of that. And I watched most of that live because obviously everybody did. Jordan was, you know, a giant deal even back then. He's only become like, I don't know, the shine hasn't worn off of him, but they definitely went after his character for years. But weirdly, it's like as you become an adult, I don't fault him for his flaws.
Sure.
I just know that without those flaws, that drive, he's not the best basketball player of all time.
Well, and I also don't I don't know how much I expect out of a basketball player.
Not only that, he's a human.
Yeah.
Right? He's a person. But, you know, the standard they held.
I don't mean like basketball players are pieces of shit. That's not what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm saying like
they just don't affect.
When I see a sports figure, I'm not like
they should be a role model.
You know,
or whatever.
Maybe they should be. I don't know.
But he took the position of role model, right? He assumed that position and wanted to sell a bunch of shoes and a bunch of other products and everything else. He wanted to be the best that ever played and make a ton of money on the side too.
Yeah, I mean, he made way more money on endorsements than he ever made playing basketball.
Oh, significant amount more, yeah. And he was the highest paid player when he was playing, right? I mean, by a large margin, he was. But like, you know, the crazy statistic that they put out was his first contract he signed with Nike was $250,000, and that year they wanted to sell between $3 and $4 million worth of shoes from his brand or whatever, from his line of shoes. They sold $156 million worth of shoes that year.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why they're the most noticeable.
Well, and at the time,
name of, or like, you know,
he's the reason Nike is Nike.
Well, what's crazy right now is that, you know, he might, as a figure, might not be as like, you know, well touted anymore, but I mean, how many people are buying new Jordans? Like, you know, they're still selling.
And that's the crazy part was, you know, he made an empire out of nothing effectively, well, talent and drive.
Oh, yeah.
But the crazy part about him has always been the drive, right? He always needed motivation. He always held things against people for way longer than people thought he should. Like, he made up things about other people that they said to him in his own head, and then admitted later on they didn't actually say it. He just had to have motivation against them when he was playing. And so in his own mind, he made it up and believed it in the moment hard enough to where it made him, you know, elevate his game and level in those moments against that specific human.
I think that, like, mental illness effectively.
But he really targeted it.
He
tunneled that shit until he became the greatest basketball player of all time without argument. I don't think there's anyone that can argue that.
Well, they do all the time.
But they're wrong. Right? I mean, there's just no argument to be made that anyone has ever been. Not to say that there won't be one day, because you can't predict the future, but from here back, there's no basketball player ever better.
LeBron.
I don't think he's better.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. That's what I'm saying.
No, I think those people are prisoners of this moment, though. Right? This is their guy that they think is better. And because he's largely considered a better person, he's easier to root for in a lot of ways because he's not that demon that Michael Jordan was. He didn't, you know what I mean? He didn't go after people the same way. He didn't punch his teammates in the face. You know what I mean? All these things that he didn't do. And, you know, at the end of the day, he is the role model that everybody wanted Michael to be, but he still can't live up to the expectations.
I don't know, though. I mean, like I said, I don't know enough about, like, statistically, but I haven't seen their, like, stats and stuff against each other.
I don't think that LeBron is the greatest of his generation by a mile, in my opinion. And to me, that includes Kobe, but that's just my opinion, right?
I have literally no dog in the race.
I know enough to where I can argue the point, but I think LeBron.
I'm gonna watch basketball for 20 years and still be like, I don't know what's like that guy can throw it good from that far away.
I think LeBron is probably the greatest of his generation by a significant margin, and he's a lot like Michael was expected to do a lot, and then but I think he was expected to do even more than Jordan. Right? They televised his high school basketball games on ESPN. They knew they elevated him to the king before he was even out of high school.
Yeah.
And then he went straight from high school to the pros, where Jordan got 3 years at North Carolina before he went to the pros. Right? He developed as a human for 3 more years before he had to elevate to that level. Whereas LeBron went straight from high school to the pros. So, one, he's going to end up having 3 more years in the pros than Jordan did. So, statistically, it's not fair, right?
I guess.
You know what I mean? And Jordan had to take Jordan took those 2 years off to play baseball or whatever.
Was an amazing baseball player.
Yes.
That's not true.
You know what's crazy is the owner of the Bulls was also the owner of the White Sox at the time. I don't know if that's still the same, but
I don't know.
But he said that because Jordan played because his dad died, and his dad always wanted to play baseball, and so he was like, I'm going to take this time off to go play baseball. I was thinking about retiring from basketball anyway. I've won 3 straight championships, no big deal. And all of this is in the documentary, obviously. But, like, the guy said that if the strike had not happened, because that's what pushed Jordan out of baseball back into basketball, was the strike happened, and he refused to cross the line, right? Because they asked him, hey, will you cross the line and play, in the major leagues or whatever? And he was like, fuck no, I won't. That's disrespectful to everyone else that came before me, right? And so he had some morals in that way, right? A significant amount of them, and some stones. Of course, he had a ton of money, too. That helps, right? And so, but the owner said, and a lot of his teammates were in this documentary, they said, listen, that dude was not great when he got there. He's obviously a natural athlete, but he's not you could tell he'd been playing basketball his whole fucking life, right? They were like, he improved so much over the year and a half he was there, significant amounts. If he would have kept at it, there's no doubt he would have never been a like next level baseball player in the majors, but he would have made it to the major leagues.
Maybe he was bad. Like, he was bad.
Well, they said, but him being bad now doesn't mean.
I think the only reason he would have made it is because of his name.
But I mean, he hit 200 in AA ball. I mean.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
For a guy that just came off a basketball court, you know what I mean? Like, he's no Bo Jackson. Like, right? Because that's Bo Jackson's next level. Bo Jackson's the greatest athlete to ever step foot on any field ever, period.
But, I mean, I don't know. I'm a baseball guy, so I hold him against, the greats. There's no way he would ever made it. Like, he was bad at baseball. That's what I'm saying. I'm not hating on him for playing it. He just wasn't good at it. And that's okay.
Yeah, no, I don't care if he played or not, but yeah. I think, but at the end of the day, it's a really, really good documentary, and the way they step up, because a lot of people were annoyed but how they jump back and forth in time, but I think it's really impressive how they did it, because they would set up, well, in this game, this big moment happened, and this is the reason, right? They would show you 4 years prior where they were setting that up, where they had kind of concreted themselves as a team in this moment and that moment. And it was really, really interesting. I liked it a lot.
Well, I don't know if I had anything else. I was trying to think if there's anything else I had.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, I think that's about it. It's pretty good. Pretty good little run there. So yeah, guys, thanks for listening. If you want to hit us up on social media, we're on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, and you can send us an email at stayradpodcast@gmail.com. We got some more guests coming to us soon, so we'll be on the lookout for that. We'll post, we post any updates always on Facebook, and we're going to do some B-sides. Like I said, Bartley's going to come in, and we're going to talk about Hereditary and Midsummer. And then we're going to be doing a lot more B-sides on, different stuff we watch and different topics in general. So always stay tuned, and we appreciate you listening. And always remember to stay rad.